만약에 이제 조별 예선에서 떨어지고 그러면 엄청 큰 비판을 받을 것 같아요. 이렇게 떨어질 거면 왜 이기고 올라갔냐, 아니면 이제 KT한테 그냥 지지 왜 올라와서 나라 망신시키고 떨어지냐, 약간 이런 게 좀 걱정되기도 하는데 그냥 그런 생각은 잘 안 하고 그냥 열심히 해서 올라가면 되는 거니까 네, 준비 많이 해서 올라가도록 해야 될 것 같아요.
And welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2016 World Group Stage. I'm QuickShot, joined by Kobe and Spawn, as Samsung Galaxy and Royal never give up, make their final adjustments on stage. There's a lot at stake in this game for Samsung Galaxy. If they win, they make top 8, they go to Chicago, they get themselves some deep dish pizza.
And they're feeling pretty good about the start to the day. Their victory over TSM to even up that head-to-head was very important for these guys. Crown especially really showing up on that Victor, outplaying Bjergsen multiple times.
Yeah, I just want to look towards that mid lane because I think that was a little bit of, we thought we had an answer for the Victor and then picked a mid-range composition that could never really get into combat range, and double lift time and time again got blown up.
He definitely did. I mean, Crown's confidence in that champion to go full damage build and absolutely destroy targets was one of the big things about how they were able to finish out the game.
I asked this question earlier. Is Crown on Victor the same level as Huhi on Aurelion Sol? Because if we assume it's going to get banned out, what we expect or should expect, what are the next tier picks now for Crown, and how far down are they?
That was one of the huge topics surrounding Crown coming into Worlds, right? Was his champion pool. He had a ton more games on both Victor and Varus than any of the other champions coming from the LCK. But they talked about multiple times, yeah, he's in solo queue, he's practicing so many other champions, he is diverse, and he's actually shown here at Worlds the rise was also extremely impressive for him. So we can't really tunnel vision on, oh yeah, just have to ban out Crown's Victor. You know, he probably has some other ones. Definitely the rise is something you have to keep in mind.
Team Solomid banned that rise out earlier today. We'll see if Royal Never Give Up feel that that is ban-worthy. Royal did not show up against Splice. Splice actually picked up their only win of the tournament so far against RNG earlier today. What went wrong for RNG, Spawn?
Yeah, no, if you cast your mind back to World Group Draw, I said that Splice would beat Royal in one of the games.
The old I told you.
Told it, because the problem is when you get an early lead on Royal and then split them up, drag them across the map, this team is notoriously bad at making the correct decision. They're not good at rotating through lanes, and that just caught them completely off guard.
Also, I think one of the key points for RNG is having Mata on a champion that enables him to be the one making those decisions. When he's on the range champions like Nami and Karma, you don't really get to have the same control as you do on something like Alistar. These melee champions, I feel like, are so good for him. He's such a spectacular playmaker that I feel like RNG will go back to that now and be more scary.
And I think that they just played too much to crush the bottom lane. I mean, you don't have to pick that against Splice. Surely you can take something like the Caitlyn as well as a playmaking support to be able to get in there, as we've seen so many other teams do, because you don't have to beat Kobe and Mickey by 20 CS. You just have to have those late game team fights online.
Gentlemen, we talked a lot about how both of these teams played earlier in the day. What is going to happen in this particular matchup? We're about to jump into pick some bans. Kobe, where do we expect? I mean, Victor, Rise surely have to be on top tier for RNG.
So obviously the mid lane has been extremely important as far as pick bans during the World's group stage, and that seems like the area to focus, especially against this team. But already, you know, Lee Sin, also a bunch of junglers have shown up very big on that champion, and MLXG is one of those guys who can play it to the peak of the champion's potential.
Yeah, he certainly can. I also think that both of these mid laners have 2 or 3 champions that they're just much better than the rest of their champion pool. Not that they have shallow champion pools, just, you know, the likes of Syndra for Angel Beats or Xiao, who is so much better than the rest of his pool.
All right, so Samsung banning out 2 of the powerhouse mid lane champions, the Syndra and the Aurelion Sol, which, you know, Crown has not really shown on. So they're definitely looking to focus on that area. Xiao, who did show that one game on Aurelion Sol, and not going to be the option for them here. But also with 2 jungle bans, you would expect the Elise and the Rek'Sai to be traded.
Yeah, you certainly would. Or we've seen MLXG already go towards the Olaf. If they go and early pick Elise, maybe you try and out-tempo with the Olaf. Very quick farm, and also jungles quite well at 6 against it.
Here's the thing about Olaf. Like, I really do love the champion. I think it is very good, especially in the early game. But a lot of the teams don't realize that the threat of Olaf in the late game pretty much comes entirely from extra speed boost on the team. Like, Olaf is a champion that when you pop your ultimate, yes, you are immune to crowd control, but you need extra speed to have that threat on the back line. You know, you need a Sivir or a Karma. Karma's already banned out, so that would kind of, you know, diminish the options for the rest of your champion pool.
And the ultimate is kind of a double-edged sword because you need it for the breaking CC, but you also need it for the AD to assassinate that AD carry.
Exactly. Like, that's why the champion can look very, very good and very, very bad. I still think it is, you know, there are proper uses for it, and I think it can be used well, but we will wait to see till the pick ban fills out here, as the Caitlyn, extremely high priority for a lot of those bot lanes. You said, you know, a lot of the bot lanes are focusing on, you know, winning in the CS, and the Caitlyn traps have also been a huge asset surrounding the objectives.
And that's going to allow Samsung Galaxy to maintain any sort of advantage they get early game. It is a Rumble Rek'Sai combination here for RNG. Not going to be the Elise or the Olaf that we're talking about a lot. Very quick lock-ins. Olaf and Victor for Samsung Galaxy. So starting to see the team compositions pulling together.
Now, Shahu's played against Victor very often. That's a big pick in the LPL, and it's also one of his big picks. Not surprised that they get insta-locks off the back end of this because they do value the Malzahar incredibly high, as well as the Ezreal for Uzi. We've seen him play it once. It was an absolutely stellar game against Splice. So this lineup right now is rounding out well for RNG. My big concern is the Rumble pick, because when you do that, you force Cuvée onto Kennen, and that has been his best champion. Why are you forcing him onto it?
Yeah, forcing him onto Kennen is an interesting way of putting it. Definitely really have liked the dedication that he had, you know, practicing a bunch in solo queue, putting in the time on that, and it's a big part of why they're even here at Worlds in the first place.
Ooh.
Now,
But
this was
there's
banned.
the ban, yeah, that we saw earlier. You know, maybe some of that scrim intel or some of it got out, but the Zyra is picked up here. Talk about winning lane. Caitlyn and Zyra, one of the most annoying poke lanes down bottom. So much damage potential.
But that is a gauntlet thrown from a very new AD carry support combo, and if he goes with Alistar, kill threat. If he goes with Nami, sustain threat.
There it is. This is actually what I want to see from both supports. Mata, if he locks in this Alistar, that's what we're talking about, the melee champions for RNG, to be able to have that playmaking ability, especially with a carry top laner like the Rumble. Brum will do a very similar thing and, you know, has the zone control that you can match up with the Rumble. Both those ultimates, very good at fighting in the jungle. But Core JJ, let me just talk about this one more little time. Spot, I see you trying to tap in, but Kiwi Kid is one of the original support Zyras this season, and Core JJ did play a lot with Kiwi Kid very closely. He's seen firsthand the potential that this champion does have in the
Dash
bottom lane.
said it earlier. It's that ex-Dignitas talent showing up here.
Well, that was props, dude. Come on. Give credit where credit's
One thing
due.
I will say, if you did watch the Kiwi Kid game, in the end he was like a 6-item mage, pretty much running around the way we've seen Lecrit. Went full damage on this champion.
I have to say, it is one of the funnest things to watch because it's very important to get bush control with that combo as well. As impressive as it can seem at times, it can also fold very quickly. If MLXG gets down there very quickly, they're pushing up, they don't have, you know, all the spots warded, which is extremely difficult versus Rek'Sai, especially early on in the game, and being on that blue side. So I'm very, very excited for that match.
I think it is going to be the volatile lane, but you have to hit on Marta's Braum, because Mako had an interview where he was like, Marta
Yeah.
can't play Braum in the lane. And everyone was like, why? And he was like, it's simple. He just can't hit the Q. I don't know what it is. He's great on all other skill shot champions, but the Braum Q just evades him. And I think that the only way you win this lane is hitting multiple Qs on Braums, multiple poke on Ezreal, and then getting the Rek'Sai down there.
Winning the lane versus Caitlyn Zyra, there's a very strong word.
The
Spawn.
only way.
Exactly, because it's a risk. If you win the lane versus Caitlyn Zyra, it comes from Rek'Sai coming down and Braum going in with the Q flashes and hitting them. If he misses those, they die.
And trust me, Marta and Uzi do not play to go equal in lane.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first support Zyra of Worlds 2016 in the hands of Samsung Galaxy on the cusp of qualifying for the quarterfinals. All that stands in their way is Uzi, Marta, and the rest of RNG. But they've got very strong lanes here that could work out in their favor. We've heard time and time again, RNG do not play well from behind. They do not play well when they're under pressure, and there's a lot of champions to apply pressure.
I think that is a very good point to bring up because week 1, we were talking about RNG and we were like, oh my goodness, the way they beat TSM, they were so much more controlled. They actually, backed off of losing scenarios, but today they have been very headstrong and a little bit too risky. See if Samsung can actually punish them for that though.
The risk out of RNG's play is that they don't gracefully lose. They don't sit there and allow you to accumulate a gold lead. They're going to fight you. They build themselves back into game through very, very risky team fights, and that went the opposite way in game 1 versus Splice.
See if they go out in a blaze of glory, or if they even it up and make the top half of this group, or actually just the entire group.
Look, if RNG win,
Catch
it
on
remains
fire.
a 3-horse race. There are so many possibilities, but it still boils down to the remaining games and whether or not Splice will play spoiler. Samsung Galaxy want to avoid that. They just want to lock in that spot, guarantee at least a top 8 seeds.
All right, so as we've been, really concentrated on the group and all the implications here as the day winds down, we did have some early vision also placed here. This is incredibly important for RNG because you expect the Olaf for the quickest clear to start on the blue for the extra mana and cooldown reduction, but he does have options. You don't have to start there. So they've confirmed this is topside blue start here from Ambition, and we were talking about MFG and the possibilities of his early influence. That's where a lot of people fell in love with this jungler, right? Where the days of his red starts into level 2 ganks and the very creative pass. So looking to see something special from him.
Well, a lot of poke already going down. Mata and Uzi on the back foot at early level, as to be expected in terms of this matchup, but Mata and Uzi moving forward.
It certainly is, but how patient can this duo be? Because you can see already they're walking back up and they get some return poke themselves. Braum is such a volatile lane, especially with that exhaust. If you jump onto a melee creep as the support walks up, you can get the exhaust down and get a lot of damage on.
Right, there are a lot of tricks with Braum to try and make sure you land those Qs. The bush control, jumping to the creeps for Taxi, Q flashing, making sure you get that auto in there. And they're going to have to bide their time, until they have that extra kill support, because side lane bush control is not going to be there in the early game. And there's always the chance that the enemy jungler, if you haven't seen them, are waiting.
Look at the mid lane. Enemy jungler from Samsung Galaxy. This is MLXG waiting in the mid lane. Crown decides not to overextend. Here comes MLXG. Flash is available. Will they trade it? Xiaohu's going out. Malefic Visions is tagging for the damage.
Now,
Getting it away.
you may think, why wasn't he more patient? And why did he go right at that moment? If you also watch what RNG are trying to do there, the cannon minion just went down. So even though that gank resulted in no summoners, or actually did result in a summoner, the ghost was also blown. It also resulted in denying a cannon minion and a decent amount of damage there onto Crown. So that was a very successful gank, actually, in my book, even though it was not flashy.
But at the end of the day, the investment is still quite high because now with the push in bottom lane, push in mid lane, you can pretty much invade if you are Ambition onto that blue buff, and you can see that they're going to contest right now.
Yeah, if you look at their Ambition was just chased out.
Wow, deadly spines as well. Uzi chunked below 100 hit points. Ruler and Core JJ
The heal.
ruining Uzi's life. Summoning heal as well.
All right, there we go. We return to the invade here that Ambition had underway, does come away with it, has the level lead over MLXG as well, and they've got side on him as well. He's being hunted at the moment.
But that's all off the back end of Mata going to try and help MLXG. I mean, it leaves Uzi alone behind the turret. They're good enough to punish. Now Ambition has complete control over the bottom side. MLXG's trying to push out mid, and that means bottom's wide open to a gank.
Well, going to be a lot of pressure on RNG if MLSG makes his way down. Wave is being pushed into Crown, and Ambition still in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, still pretty risky, as even though MLG was showing mid, he was applying pressure, because if you push up that mid lane with your mid laner, it forces Crown to CS at his turret, so that means if they went for the dive, it would just be the 3 versus 2. Oh man, look at
He's
this wrap
behind them.
around though. This is exactly what we
Flash
talked about, the
available.
all-in from the...
He missed.
He can't hit the Q! Set that up in lane, no slow, no CC to follow.
Honestly, it still would be fairly risky even if they did hit it. This is a full summoner Caitlyn Zyra duo, so everything does have to go perfectly for that to work in the end anyways. And one of the worst things that would definitely blow up in the game is if you try and gank that powerful damage output of the Caitlyn Zyra and you mess up that gank this early on.
But I feel it's worth the risk because they're 600 gold behind in a laning phase, and you expect Uzi and Mata to win, so you have to be able to throw that out.
Hit your Qs then, bud.
Yeah, well, we've heard that he can't from multiple sources. We got a quick glimpse there of Looper in the top lane, still sitting in lane 36 CS to 34 for Cuvée, approaching their ultimate status. And of course, teleport is available for Looper, so he should be able to back, but look at the itemization differences.
Yeah, so the big thing here is that they actually burn the teleport because they know that RNG wants to play around bottom lane, and with teleport, Echo has priority in this lane. So now Looper has to match, and now it becomes that war of attrition between the Echo and the Rumble.
And this is a lane, you know, both melees here that can be tipped very heavily by the jungle. I just want to revisit Ambition, because Ambition is a guy who's worked so diligently to get here. You know, after 5 years, finally at Worlds, he is crushing in the jungle matchup. Almost all of the gold lead is on Ambition, almost over 400 right now in comparison to MLXG, and he's 2 levels ahead. Olaf with ultimate, he can actually just crush right now. He's got Ghost ready, and any lane that gets pushed in, or any lane that SSG have priority in, he can visit and go for a dive.
Ambition also picked up an early pair of Lucidity boots, going to get around, throw out even more undertows, potentially more Ragnaroks. Pressure on his side. But as it stands, none of those lanes are targets just yet. RNG under their towers. Got to be very, very careful.
There we go.
Now who's got the passive up? It's a 2-on-2 battle. Ambition going to keep running. Call of the Void silences him. Here comes Mata. That chair tags. Ambition's running for his life. Ghost and Ragnarok is up. Flash forward. Never cross. Was too late. Xiaohu's caught. Here comes Core JJ. Xiaohu's running for his life. The Malefic Visions burning down Ambition. A flash forward. The lost zap. And it's Crown with first blood.
The final second of the Ragnarok actually breaks the tether, and that means that Xiaohu comes up empty-handed.
I got no words for you there, Spawn. That was rushed from Xiaohu, and it cost him his life. It cost him the first blood, but up top.
And let's see who comes away worse for wear. Looper threw down the equalizer, is about to overheat. Cuvée still got access to that chrono break and not going to get needed. He's forced Looper away. No summoner spells blown. Advantage, Samsung Galaxy.
Definitely costly mistake here.
Let's have another look.
It was a great punish, because Mata roams first, so they have advantage, but there is no reason to do that early. And Xiaohu pays the price for it here. It went over to Crown as well. Crown's Victor, we just saw him be a hard carry for Samsung. He definitely has the confidence, and now he's got the gold to back it up.
And this is what I'm talking about, the inability to lose the early game gracefully. That is a forced play. You can take the Ghost, you can take the ultimate, back away scot-free, and reset up your gank off mid lane, because you know the counter gank is much harder. Instead, they roll the dice, and now they're getting punished everywhere.
I clenched. A little bit of damage. BF sword for Ruler. Mata manages to escape with his life. No summoners. And Samsung Galaxy, plus 1,600 gold, got themselves first blood. Looking at those item differences, as if Uzi didn't have a tough enough time. Now he's got Pickaxe Tier into a Zyra Kate BF, and he's going to lose his tower.
Exactly. The Zyra support takes its toll. Constant pressure there. First blood, first turret, and SSG with a huge, huge lead here.
They're just looking so clean and controlled. This is how Samsung Galaxy took Team Solo mid down in the early game. However, they did cause a few problems and a few mistakes in the mid game, so let's see if they've cleaned that up from earlier in the day. Ambition gonna give MLXG a gentle love tap.
But this has always been the problem playing against the Korean powerhouses. As soon as you make that one mistake, as soon as you give them the window into the game, they just run away with it because they are so disciplined and drilled that they don't make the same mistakes back. We'll see whether Samsung Galaxy is one of that top tier, because right now they are looking at it today, but mistakes have still been in their gameplay.
And those mistakes are what RNG are going to be looking to punish. We're approaching 10 minutes. We've not really seen Looper get involved. He's down in CS. Teleport will be available very, very soon, as is that equalizer. And he's been under quite a lot of pressure from Cuvée, because every time we have caught glimpses, it's Cuvée pushing the wave in, and you can see Cuvée on your screen roaming towards the mid lane. Should run into MLXG shortly.
It's going to be interesting to see whether they can play around Looper, because honestly, all tournament long, Looper's kind of been on an island, and it's weird seeing him on Teamfighters on an island because it doesn't really do all that much for them.
Also, if we look across the side at, transitioning into the team fight phase, what Looper's going to be playing against from SSG. Samsung have this Caitlyn Zyra combo. It's also very good at anti-dive and dealing with melee carries. Zyra and Caitlyn have the possibility to chain so much CC. If you land one of the snares, traps go down as well. Zyra ultimate also does a lot to against again. Oh, here we go though, the dragon and
They want to fight, teleport into the bottom lane.
Lupa's coming from the lane. Marta misses yet another chair. CoreJJ sidesteps. Teleport from Cube. He should be able to cut off Lupa. They've already killed MLXG. The dragon secured by Samsung, and Lupa's the next target. Looking at the minimap, Samsung want more. They're looking to run him down. Ambition doesn't get the undertow, and Uzi forced to arcane shift away. Stand behind me, Marta yells, and RNG feel they can go forward. They're gonna bite off more than they can chew. They've been routed. They've been killed. Uzi flashes for life. Cube's chasing for more. Xiaohu might be able to get away. Time winders up. Chrono breaks available. Phase dive. Cube survives. Chrono break backwards. Malefic Visions doesn't kill him. Samsung have everything.
Samsung are absolutely routing RNG. They take the Drake, they take the kills. This game, now all they have to do is put the vision up. All right, let's take another look at this though, because he gets snared up there on the edge of the gravity field, I believe.
But all of that fight starts because a missed chair comes through, and now Lupa's caught off, does the team thing, tries to ult the 3 members whilst he is dying to give the team a fighting chance. But honestly, this is just an overextension and a fantastic punish coming through from Samsung.
CoreJJ getting in there with the Zyra as well, and they chase him out of their own jungle. I mean, there are just so many snares you have to watch out for. This really does also make Crown's job a lot easier in the team fights. With the Zyra zone control in combination with the Echo as well as Gravity Field from Victor, there are a lot of, ground targeted spells that you're going to have to avoid for RNG to actually get inside.
Samsung Galaxy have earned a 5,000 gold lead at 12 minutes. They're going to knock over the second tower if uncontested, but RNG figure they can at least defend this a little longer. They've pulled up support from both Xiaohu and MLXG.
CoreJJ just used his flash offensively there to try and get the snare, and RNG are roaming up to try and punish, but they've been chased off again.
Oh, Ambition playing with his life, got Ragnarok up. No Ghost just yet, Call of the Void. Gonna do too much. Marta throws up the Unbreakable. The rest of RNG, 5-man party in the top lane, and Cube uncontested in the bottom.
Look at the other 2 lanes. This is just really, really sloppy play coming out of RNG. All of a sudden, Rek'Sai has to try and defend cross-map. Mid lane has just been uncontested free farm, and RNG, they're getting desperate.
They really are. Oh, Marta steps to the trap, but it's Uzi the target. Hey! Long range damage. Lupa's coming in from the side lane. Cube gets a tower. This is coming apart at the seams. RNG have simply no reply to what Samsung are doing.
CoreJJ with the Dignitas flavor. 2 kills on the support now. Able to land the double snare. They take the turret afterwards, and this is getting out of control. Yet they take the turret afterwards.
This isn't getting out of control. This is out of control. I mean, everything has fallen apart for RNG right now, and they're still looking for desperate plays.
Oh, they really are. But fire beats grass, and CoreJJ gets burned down.
Well
He's
played,
in the
Pokemon
jungle.
Master.
Yeah, that's right. Just a little overstep. However, because RNG went to kill CoreJJ, it allows Samsung to take their 4th tower in 14 minutes, extending that lead. This might just be the biggest lead that we have seen all group stage long here in San Francisco.
And this team, Samsung, look like they're going to top the group here with the last couple performances that they've had. Very impressive play from them, especially Crown on the Victor. I feel like teams will be targeting that later.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game is the top of the group, right? Because as soon as they beat this, they have the head-to-head against TSM already.
Yep.
No one else can really get up there and contest it. And RNG right now, I mean, they peak earlier, but they're so far behind that the later this game goes, I mean, the Zyra is going to become a legitimate threat. Caitlyn is just so safe in these team fights. We've already seen the Victor. Honestly, like, the door has shut very quickly for RNG this game.
Especially if you consider that Samsung want to fight, in these corridors where they can take full advantage of the parallel convergence, the gravity field, and the Zyra snares. They're moving the fight up into the jungle. They're taking it to RNG's side of the map. They've got so much vision control now. They would love it if they can catch RNG, walking through those. The thing they do have to watch out for, though, is that if you're in the jungle, Rumble Ultimate and Braum Ultimate, still very good line combination spells there. that can turn a game around if you're not careful. This one though, 8,000 gold. Usually you have to take that account when you're talking about turning it around, and Samsung look like they've got that under control.
Samsung would have to stand 5-man on top of a Glacial Fissure equalizer combo to have that 8,000 gold lead eroded. But the way Samsung Galaxy have been playing throughout the course of this game and their game earlier today, it is just fantastic progression from week 1 to week 2 in Spawn. I want to talk about their prospects going forward after this fight. MLXG flashes forward onto Ruler. Ruler tries to 90 caliber away. There's no flash available. They get to kill. Remember, fire beats grass. CoreJJ is strangled down. Looper takes him out, and RNG, they don't need a jungle, they just TP in for 2.
And I mean, sure, this looks great. 2 kills, unresponded, but still in the top lane. They're looking to set up for another turret that's being chipped down by Kuve. Mid lane is still being pressured fiercely, and they can't get one back for themselves.
Crown is ghosting for this. He's looking to chase, decides not to throw the flash down, just again buying more time for Kuve to push top.
This should mean Drake for RNG if they stick around bottom, but the double lane, solo lanes of pressure mean that they do have to go collect those minion waves. Here it is. They commit 5 people for this play. They do get 2 kills for themselves, which is definitely something to put in your pocket, but so many summoner spells, as well as losing out some damage on that mid and top turret. And here comes that Drake. Actually, it's just far too late. Yeah, the timing was a bit off. If it was 20 seconds earlier, yeah, they could combo it, but I feel like this is Samsung's now.
And I mean, realistically, they want to combo it for gold. They don't even care about the Drake at this stage of the game. 7,000 is just such insurmountable.
At this point, you'll take anything you get.
You'll take a jungle can.
I mean, there's not a lot else. That's the problem. Samsung are so far ahead. They need to push their vision and their control so deep, it allows for those double kills plays to actually happen. Admittedly, that was just at the first tier turret. But Samsung, they get their second Ocean. That's a lot of regens. They can back away from any Malzahar or Ezreal damage that is landed. And the next Infernal will help Samsung, if they secure it, push to close this game out.
All right, and I do this far too often, but the one bright side there is that Kuve didn't go tank first, he went Trinity Force, and the Olaf isn't as tanky as you would like him resistant-wise, and there is some good damage items right now. If RNG find a window where it's a 3v5 or something like that, they can still blow a member up, but that window is going to close incredibly quickly.
Also remember, they would have to do that multiple times to get back into this game. Also, it's very difficult to chase this because you're gonna run into laser after laser, the snares from Zyra, and Samsung would love to kite backwards. They don't have to use this Olaf forward.
You can't run onto Samsung because you got to get through Caitlyn traps, you got to get through Zyra roots and ultimate, you got to get through Victor's gravity field, and Samsung, they're daring RNG to come at them. Just keeping the chip away at this inner turret, looking at MLXG. No flash available, looking to tunnel under a Galaxy member. Ruler flashes away, still gets knocked up. Equalizer's not great, Stranglethorns blocks off any further engage. Royal are running for their lives. Ambition takes a lot of damage, but look at Xiaohu, he's being chunked down. Chaos Storm takes him out. Ace Neil fired, so that's a cooldown blown. Look at the damage onto Uzi with that last tick. Samsung get 2, phase dive the tower, they'll get the tower as well.
And as Rusty says, this team loves to roll the dice, but it just is not coming up their number today because Samsung too good. Kite back, disengage the fight, and then re-engage at the perfect moment, taking down multiple members and getting the objective.
It's so difficult for RNG because they can't split push, they can't team fight, they have to hope for an error from Samsung, and they're not giving it to them. You can see constantly Caitlyn traps all around the perimeter here. Great disengage there. That was an example of CoreJJ with the Zyra ultimate. They were able to get him with the re-engage as well, and Ambition even recalling right there around the other side of the wall, so no vision. Here it is, though.
Yeah, so let's take another look at this. They feel if they hard engage, they can blow up one of the damage sources, but a good flash, good net, and then that big Zyra ultimate cutting off the entire zone that you want to chase through. And as soon as Kuve joins this fight, it's a 5v5, you need to back out.
Exactly. I mean, the key there, Zyra ultimate buys time for teleport to come in. They even the odds. And Xiaohu forcing it a little. Uzi also, that's fairly uncharacteristic to see him like just kind of walk into enemy crowd control like that, I guess.
But isn't that 2 games today now that Uzi's just been a little bit off his game? We expect a high caliber of play for one of the world's best AD carries, especially when their back is against the wall. For RNG, a win here keeps the top seed open. A lose here means that they're most likely going to be playing for second.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, now the winner of the TSM RNG game is so important for how this group plays out. One more thing I want to point out about RNG. They're a big desperation Baron team. They do have a Melzahar. Expect them to start that up at some point to try and claw their way back in. It means you have to run through choke points. It's not going to be effective. They're way too far behind, but that's generally how they lose games fast.
Well, 20 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock when that Baron discussion started.
Yep.
Spawn. That is how far ahead Samsung are. This has been one of the most impressive stops. You know, it's so coordinated, it's so well played by Samsung.
Actually, at 15 minutes, Samsung had the largest lead of all the games at World that we've seen. This World so far. So this was the largest early game lead of any team thus far.
And unless I'm horribly mistaken, Samsung was a team that was not projected by many to get out. That's a lot of damage onto Xiaohu. MLXG's caught out. Stranglethorn's not going to knock anybody out with a run forward. Chaos Storm, Tick, and Crown gets one more laser. That gets the kill in MLXG.
But look how respectful Crown is. I mean, a little bit of a turnaround.
Sorry, hold on. Cube is not respectful. He's inside the base of Royal.
But Crown burns double summoner spells to just disengage that slightly, lets the Olaf run it down. This is incredibly disciplined play. And at 21 minutes in, it's going to mean a Baron.
Very likely, unless Uzi gets a miracle Ezreal.
go.
That would be blind.
Miracle,
This will be
miracle.
blind.
Will it happen? Will it happen? No, it will not. Samsung, clean Baron. 14,000 gold.
Definitely true. That's how you do it. Pick off the jungler, have a pink ward and sweeper inside of the Baron, make sure there's no vision inside, and they're able to take it without RNG.
And this is what I mean. Xiaohu, he burns one summoner spell, burns it late. Straight away, Crown is out of there, then he's following up.
Yeah, unlucky there for MLXG. Rock walks into the ultimate that was already sitting there from Crown, and that is going to be
The quickest Baron of Worlds 2016. So
The quickest everything.
The largest 15-minute gold lead. The earliest Baron at 21 minutes, 15 seconds. Now we need to see if they can close the game out as efficiently and quickly, because they have Baron, they have the tools. They even have the option to go under tower, thanks to the amount of disengage they have, though obviously it increases the risk factor against a Malzahar Rumble combination.
And the tank items have come in now. I mean, double Spirit Visage. Now you're sitting on Giant Spelt as well for the Olaf. He can run underneath that turret with the ulti. There's no way you can really keep him out. And honestly, the raw damage numbers that is going to follow up. I mean, Core JJ is arguably stronger than Looper at this stage of the game. It's just going to be so hard.
All right, listen, gentlemen, I've got a bit of a head for numbers now. The timer for pole position for fastest game at Worlds is 25 minutes, 32 seconds. So they need to get 25:31 to set the fastest game. And that was RNG stomping Splice.
On your marks.
That's it. That's the timer that we're looking for. Keep your eye on the top screen. Samsung Galaxy sieging 3 lanes at once with Baron, and they're on track to beat that record if they can survive the fight. Stranglethorn's gonna knock up 3. That's a dead Xiaohu. MLXG's gonna get killed. Here comes Cube from the side. Not gonna get a stun up, but Ambition from behind. He's looking for Uzi. Ruler is gonna ace him the hole down. Looper gets the kill. Ambition is Ragnarocking and Ragnarolling, but Uzi survives with his life. The base is opened up. The rest of Samsung Galaxy, they take down the top tower. They take down the top inhibitor. They still have a minute and a half to beat the record. They're setting their sights on Nexus.
What does this tell you about the Samsung Galaxy lineup? Able to do what RNG, what they did to Splice, and destroy them.
They are doing it. The Nexus turrets are falling. There's no support from Royal. Never give up. And Samsung Galaxy win the fastest game of Worlds 2016.
Not only the fastest, but the most impressive win all around from Worlds so far this year.
A complete shellacking. I mean, they destroyed them this game. That was as one-sided of any game of League of Legends you will ever watch, and you can see it on Uzi's face. They had opportunities in the bottom lane specifically, but just could not get it done.
What has happened to Xiaohu? At MSI, he was so good, had so many strong moments, but he was absolutely destroyed this game.
Give Samsung Galaxy their best champions. Allow them to play. I mean, that Zyra was a surprise. TSM knew about it. TSM had it prepped, got rid of that from the play. Uzi and Martin never had a chance. Never had a chance.
I mean, when you have a look at it, Uzi and Marta go away from Comfort, they lock in the Braum. We've already said Marta's Braum is not great, specifically in lane. Alistar is up. Alistar Rek'Sai combos ganks so incredibly well, but they try and play for the later stages of the game, and another Chinese team gets punished for it.
If that exact play that we saw down bottom, if he was on Alistar instead of the Braum, that was a guaranteed engage. There's no way that you, well, I guess they could flash the headbutt.
But then Rek'Sai follows up. I completely agree. You flash one, the next person follows up. Realistically, they should have gone for the play regardless, even with the flash out of the Braum. They just let too many things go. Don't worry, we're better than them in the laning phase. We'll beat them organically. And Core JJ and Ruler smashed them for it.
Absolutely did. That allows Samsung Galaxy to qualify for the quarterfinals. We hit that story not too long ago. They will be joining the top 8 in Chicago. We'll see how the seeds play out a little bit later as they've got themselves 4 wins on the board. They play Splice immediately after this game. Truthfully, it just looks like Samsung's going to go 3-0, right? Like, is there anything that Splice can do?
If the group stages at Worlds has been any indication, be careful where you place your bets, because a lot of upsets have occurred. But yes,
they're just looking phenomenal.
I would definitely say with the recent performances for both those teams, Samsung definitely on top.
They might be the best team coming out so far. Rocks look shaky versus ANX. I mean, H2K looks shaky all week.
2 good games. Hold on, 2 good games. And Spawn says they're the best at Worlds. Now let's check in with our analysts to see if they agree with that misguided analysis.
Thank you very much. A quick shot. Before we dive into any analysis, I have to welcome LS to the desk to break down what was one of the more dominant, if not the most dominant game now of Worlds so far. I mean, let's dive into it from Champion Select, because we had seen the Respect Zyra ban come out earlier today against Samsung. Doesn't happen this time around and spells disaster.
That was complete annihilation. I mean, the bot lane took the turret by themselves before 10 minutes. I mean, you cannot get stomped harder than that. And it was really enjoyable to watch just Samsung completely devastate them.
And once again, we see an RNG team where they don't win the early game. They don't win the bot lane because they're against the Zyra. They pick the Braum into it. That's not going to work. Mid lane, we get Victor, of course, picked by Crown. Again and again, I think you're a big fan of that. And then Malzahar is the answer. It's like, no, Malzahar is not the answer to Victor.
Yeah, I don't understand the pick and ban phase at all. Alistar was open. You could have banned away Victor. It just doesn't really make any sense what RNG is doing. And also Mata looking very uncharacteristic in all of the games this week, and also taking exhaust every single game. I'm wondering if that's actually something to do with his mentality, because last week he only took Ignite. In the bot lane this week has looked very shaky, so when they collide with TSM later on, I'm actually really worried for them.
Yeah, and I'm overall just really concerned and kind of sad to see the overall LPL trend when we look at the pick and ban phase. I think they're not flexible at all. Like, a lot of them is like, oh, okay, we need something like Poppy top lane. We just got to like have a top laner who might go down a few CS, but then he can try and teamfight later. We're never going to play around him. We're just going to put him up there, and that's it. Okay, we need to try and get a strong bot lane. Whenever in pick and ban phases they don't get strong bot lanes, both EDG, IMA, and RNG, they look so lackluster. It's absolutely insane when they start losing early on, how far they fall behind and how little they can do to get back into the games. So it's just lack of flexibility in the pick and ban phase, but also in-game. Because very few players have like a great game and a bad game, a great game and a bad game. Often it's like the same players having multiple bad games, like Xiaohu has had this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about how the game was going poorly for RNG prior to 10 minutes, but I do want to take a look at the Dragon fight that happened at that 10-minute mark, because it basically sealed the deal here. 3 kills going over to Samsung Galaxy at this point in the game.
And this is just poor positioning from MLXD. He's going to get caught out with a really nice stun from Crown, and as soon as he dies, Samsung knows that they can just keep pulling the trigger, and it's going to be on the bottom side with Uzi going to be taking out. On the bottom, this is a nice little stun from Cuvee that's just going to be able to solo out the Rumble completely.
Yeah, when you're in such a condensed area against Samsung Galaxy's team composition, it's really hard to penetrate into the river. And the gravity fields and the control and zoning coming out of Zyra is too much, so it's really questionable why they even tried to take this fight, and then they just got picked off.
I mean, a little bit of a fun stat for you guys here on the back end of this, hitting that 15-minute mark. The previous biggest lead in the tournament was 6.9K. That was TSM leading against Samsung Galaxy. Now, Samsung Galaxy at 15 minutes, 7.5K. So they now hold the largest lead and largest deficit in the group stages of Worlds. But this was just destruction.
23-53, that's not enough time to even decide if you want to surrender. They just got run over, and I really enjoyed watching Samsung just play the entire map. 3 lanes at once, just push everywhere because you know you're strong enough to do it, and Cuvée was able to just take out turrets by himself nonstop. He was inside the base at times, just doing whatever he wants, while the other side of the map is just winning in. Really good stuff to see them play so fast, a team that we thought would be playing a much more slow style.
Sure, but now they're playing Core JJ, and that's again where they started playing much faster in the Korean Gauntlet, and they're doing it again. Clearly, when he's playing for them, there's a lot more focus on early games, a lot more focus on especially the bot lane 2v2. That's why he has picks like Zyra waiting, maybe as a brand. We don't even know if his other supports prepared. So it really benefits them playing with him right now, and it seems like everyone on the team plays better as well when Core JJ is in the lineup.
Yep.
So it's no surprise that he picks up player of the game, the Zyra pick, not being respected this time around. But can you give me a little bit more discussion around what exactly the Zyra pick does? Because I think some people are sitting at home going, well, wait, where did this support pick come from? Why is it powerful right now? And why is it able to push a turret down, 8 to 10 minute mark?
Well, it's not only an incredibly strong laner, but it's also a complete anti-dive. And when you have the likes of Caitlyn and Victor on your team and you have melees that are trying to get into that, it's going to be impossible. And we saw a lot of times the Rek'Sai just get caught out by the entirety of the ultimate as well as the roots. That it's just so difficult if you don't have gap closer to actually hit the backline.
Yeah, now fun stat there too. He also had the second most damage on the team in that game as Zyra. Of course, that is a lot in part due to AoE.
Yeah, of course AoE, but also you pick her main, like the number one reason you pick her now is just laning phase. Like, she's so hard to lane against, she's so hard to even gank because she actually has a lot of ways she can deal with like even a 2v3 situation due to the plants being so effective if a lot of them are down. So when you pick her just for laning phase and you win that, great. The composition from RNG wasn't terrible against Zyra, because normally in teamfights, she's good against like Hekarims who dive in, you put the ulti behind it or on top of him and then no one can get to the backline. This was actually enough backline threat to deal with it. But you pick it for laning phase, and when you win the laning phase, well, ka-ching, you win the game.
Yeah, one of the things I was worried about coming into this match was actually the bottom lane, because when we saw Samsung go up against TSM, Double Lift at one point almost had like a 40 CS lead, and they botched the 2v2, even going for a trade that they never should have went for. So I think that the Zyra helps them to basically guarantee that they don't lose bottom lane, which is one of RNG's saving graces going into this matchup.
Highly doubt that he'll get that pick again. But now I want to look forward here because Samsung Galaxy have secured themselves a quarterfinal berth. At worst, they are going to be playing a tiebreaker for first place, similar to what H2K had to do. But here's the thing. They have one more game to play today. So in contrast to H2K, they are the masters of their own destiny here. If they win this next game against Splyce, they are the #1 seed out of this group. So let's get a little preview of that game because it's all on Splyce to play upset and give us a tiebreaker at the end of the day.
I just want to say, please ban Victor. This guy is too good on Victor. He's just crushing everybody. It's insane. I don't want to see anybody lose horrendously anymore.
I think there is something for Splyce in favor of Splyce in terms of the mid lane, actually in terms of bans at least, because you talk about banning Victor. Right now, Samsung is banning Syndra and Aurelion Sol in all the games. They might do the same here. I'm pretty sure Crown can play them because I've seen him play it in solo queue, but he's not pulling it out right now. Maybe he's saving him for later, which I don't think he is, but he might not be too comfortable on it. So if you remove Victor, you can actually thin out that mid lane pool quite a bit. And then the next thing is bot lane. You cannot lose the core JJ and Ruler in that bottom lane because Samsung now, when they're actually winning 2v2, not criticizing players, but just overall, now that Samsung is winning early game, they get to play this really good macro in the mid to late game, and that's so hard to play against.
Yeah, I definitely think that we need to see a lot of mid lane focused bans against Crown, but one of the problems is Crown does have one of the biggest champion pools coming from Korea as one of the mid laners, and so it is pretty difficult to ban against him, also because he does have that rise.
Well, Samsung has set themselves up for that first place finish in the group. Now there's more group stage action coming your way as Splyce takes on Samsung Galaxy right after this.
Samsung Galaxy on the cusp of qualifying for the quarterfinals. All that stands in their way is Uzi, Mata, and the rest of RNG. Flash forward, never cross, was too late. Xiaohu's caught. Here comes Core JJ. Xiaohu's running for his life. The Malefic Visions burning down ambition. A flash forward, stand behind me, Mata yells. And RNG feel they can go forward. They're gonna bite off more than they can chew. They've been routed. He's being chunked down. Chaos Storm takes him out. Ace Neil fired, so that's a cooldown blown. Look at the damage onto Uzi. And Samsung Galaxy win the fastest game of Worlds 2016.
Dare to be different. Revel in the impossible. Introducing a little anarchy. Disrupting the natural order. because a hero lies in all of us. Nothing is beyond your reach. Claim your victory and go forth to conquer new worlds.